Good evening to the board. It has now returned from closed session and will begin the regular session of the Keys Union Elementary School Board of Trustees meetings. Item 4.1, report out closed session items. Item 3.2 in closed session was approved. We approved the appeal. Item 4.2, approval amendment agenda. Do we have anything to approve or amend?
No additions or amendments.
Do we have a motion to approve as is?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to flag salute by Mr. Green.
Everybody please rise. Ready, begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to invitation to address the Board of Trustees. Do we have any? All right. Moving on to announcements. 7.1, Spratling Middle School had their roundup on August 5th. Keys Elementary School Kinder Back to School night was August 9th. Well, last night. First day of student return for the 2021-2022 school year is August 11th, tomorrow, which is a minimum day. 7.4 is Keys Elementary School Back to School night is August 12th. 7.5 is Spratling Middle School Back to School night is August 18th. Moving on to item number 8, staff reports. We have read those staff reports. Any questions or concerns? Anything in the staff that's have anything to add? All right, moving on to consent agenda items. Actions prepared for the consent calendar are consistent with adopted and approved policies of the district and are deemed routine in nature. They'll be acted upon in one motion without discussion unless members of the board request that an item be removed from the consent calendar. In that event, it will be taken up in the order indicated on the main agenda. Any questions from 9.1 to 9.7? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.1, approval of certificated classified confidential management personnel actions. Very hefty list of beginning of the school year. Any questions or concerns? Do we have a motion to approve all?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.2, approval of Keys Elementary School first grade teacher Mariah Mattern to enter into multiple subject short-term staff permit status for the 2021-2022 school year. Could you add some information?
Just to share that at the previous board meeting, I believe two prior meetings ago, you had approved for us to be able to apply for basically a credential waiver, or what they call a STIP, which is a short-term permit for those individuals who are not fully completed with their credential program, but yet they are being supervised and will engage in a classroom and complete their credential within a 2-year period.
And she's very familiar on campus.
Absolutely. Yep.
Any questions or concerns? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to item 10.3, approval of Keys Elementary School temporary SDC teacher Aaron Spradling to enter into multi-subject short-term staff permit status for 2021-2022 school year.
And this is in essence the same exact credential process for this position. And just to share, one of the big reasons is because we have such a shortage of qualified, fully credentialed teachers at this point because of all of the hiring that's going on across the state. So we're very lucky that I think we have 2 individuals who will do a great job and who are qualified and will fit these short-term permits.
Is this one new to us or has been a sub
No,
for?
she's actually coming from the district, moving on to actually from Head Start, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Para, but it which, okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, since they said all that nice stuff. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Since she has a classroom in the morning? Do we have a first? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Moving on to 10.4, public hearing. We're going to open up at 6:05.
And this public hearing is for independent study or as a result of AB 130 policies had to be amended and changed to be able to provide students who choose or whose parents do not want the students to wear masks and be in school, then we can allow them to participate via distance learning in an independent study program. And so we're asking the board to approve these policies so that we are in compliance with the legislation.
All right. Any other on this topic? Nothing from the public? We'll close at 6:06. We don't have to approve it?
We have to, right?
Yes.
Well, no, we don't approve closing it, but do we vote on it somewhere else?
It'll be
Oh.
under policies and
Oh, yeah,
and
perfect.
another agenda item.
Moving on to 10.5, public hearing for instructional materials for the 2021-2020 school year. Open that up at 6:06.
And this is as a result of the Williams case, which continues on, that we have to certify that every student in our district has been provided with adequate textbooks that are that they have enough textbooks and that they are of quality and during current adoption. This is a housekeeping item that we kind of do every year.
Any questions? All right, with no topics, we'll close that at 6:07. Moving on to 10.6, approval resolution 2021-2203, instruction materials for the 2021-2022 school year. That's a typo. Gotcha, Dana. Gotcha. Mr. Brazil?
And that's in essence, this is the resolution stating that the board has certified that we do have sufficient textbooks and that all students have access to them.
All right, any
First
questions
is
or
a public
concerns?
hearing and then an approval.
We have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
We have a first, we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on, 10.7, approval of district wellness plan and policies update.
So every year, we're asked to update our policies related to food service and nutrition and health for students. And so when they come out and do a review of your cafeteria program, that's one of the things that they want is to see your wellness plan and to make sure that it's complete and has all of the components. So tonight, we have updated for the year, and we're asking that the board approve.
Don't we get the food shipped in from?
Yes.
Yes, all of our food is contracted with, from Turlock Unified School District. So we have to, in essence, we still have to assure that what we're providing here is what is intended
Is
by.
there any responsibility of Turlock to?
Yes, they in fact provide us with a lot of the nutritional, there are menus that have to be provided. There are other documents that they provide for us when we go through those reviews.
They have an employee, their only job is to figure out all the nutritional.
Right, so I'm just trying to understand it. So if they're doing that, then what is our part?
Our part is taking it and then applying it to ours, because we have to then show how we're serving our lunches here. For example, has to be stated on there. It has to say what does our menu look like for a
Gotcha.
typical day. So it's basically taking a huge entity and saying, okay, here's what we do at this particular site. If we were a Turlock site, it would just simply be a plan for that site. Here's how we're putting it into place.
Yes.
But since we're a district and we're contracting their services, then we're saying, okay, what they do, here's what we do.
Gotcha.
And the wellness plan also takes into effect school fundraisers. all that,
Fundraisers, the ability of
Snack bars.
selling snacks, all of that kind of.
Which Turlock doesn't do.
Right.
So. All right, any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion then.
We have a first, we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Whoops. Moving on to 10.8, approval of district safety plan.
So every year, we also have to do this, which is approve the district safety plan. Every 3 years, it's a major redo. Every year in between then is kind of obviously adapting it for changes in personnel, things of those nature, or if you did change any procedure, for example, for a lockdown or for any other type of an emergency, then we'd have to detail it on the plan. We don't publish we have to publish our plan, but there are portions of it we cannot publish or share because they would indicate to the public then how we deal with each emergency, and some of those things are confidential, obviously, to remain safe and secure.
Are they really major changes from 3 years to 3 years, or is it
Yeah,
all
well,
within?
I will say that any time that there has been a major school happening, that I think pieces of legislation then have been changed. And so at times, yes, and then other times there's not very much.
Gotcha.
The last 3 year was a more of a major, I will say, because ours had not been updated in a very long time. So it was more of a feat. This year is really just of changing some very minor things.
Gotcha.
All right, any other questions? We have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
We have a first, we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
And just to share, in fact, one of the major things that we did at the 3 years ago was, or 2 years ago, I guess, was the flip charts that we have in our classrooms, that if there is an incident, you kind of flip to that particular incident, and it has an idea of what steps you can take next, so that if it's even a substitute that's in the classroom, they at least will have an idea of here's how to react to certain things.
That's what I needed for fighting. Huh?
A couple years ago, it was a huge change. So there was a lot of
A lot of
improvement.
changes, yeah.
All right, moving on to 10.9, approval of Healthy Start 2021-2022 salary schedule minimum wage increased on line A and 5.25% increase to line B.
So these are needed increases to bring us up to minimum wage earnings. So there's not really much more explanation other than that, but that's what we need to do to be at minimum wage in those positions.
What positions are minimum
These are
wage,
with-
just for instance?
With Healthy Start, Stephanie, do you want to share what positions are in?
So for Healthy Start, there was an assistant position. It's an open position right now, which is why the minimum wage didn't get increased last January. So it was an open position that was overlooked, so we had to bring that up to standard. The position is still unfilled, and because of that, there is savings in that program, and so that allowed us to do the 5.25% increase for
Gotcha.
the one other position in that program.
Okay. Well, that does it for me. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to stand up here because
Yeah.
there's several of these.
Okay.
If you have questions.
All right, any other discussion? We have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, huh?
Oh, I don't know who you want to give it to, Dana. Wes got it? We got a first, got a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.10, approval of classified 2021 stipend schedule summer school program change from a 120 per day to 26.7 per hour for CalPERS compliance.
So as you know, we've received all of this one-time money that some of it we use to increase the pay of our classified and certificated staff. Now, when payroll gets submitted to the county then says, well, we can't take a stipend. We need to have an hourly rate. And so what you're seeing is that change, classifying it as this was, instead of $120 a day, it was now 26 point whatever it may be, depending on the position. But it was no more than what the total was that we had originally said. It's just a reporting difference. And I don't know if Stephanie wants to add anything, but
That's exactly correct. So we're not changing the pay. We're just showing it differently on the salary schedule from a lump sum to an hourly rate.
All right, any other questions? We have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
We have first, we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on, 10.11, approval of removal of summer school rate of pay from 2021-2022 Csea and KTA stipend schedule. Ms. Morris?
So I know this sounds a little contradictory because we just, on the one above that, was a change in the summer school pay. So we had to do that for just a paperwork trail for the county office. So for the pay that we already paid back in June for summer school, we had to make that lump sum change to hourly. But now that summer school is over and that was a one-time pay, we actually have to formally remove those amounts of pay from our salary schedule for the new year.
because they were temporary for that 1 year. The increases were only to that year. So we revert back to what is exactly on their salary schedule.
They're formalities that we have to do.
Gotcha. Do you, just by common knowledge, do you know that, or do you have to learn that as you go?
Oh, no, she knew. She knew.
No,
The problem is that sometimes what what ends up happening is some county offices will choose to do it one way and others another way. And so we kind of, but there are many times Stephanie knows right ahead of time, she's thinking, oh God, we can't report it that way. I know we're going to get it. And so
But there's a lot of times where the county office gently reminds us that we need to make changes.
Gotcha.
they do.
Gently.
All right, any questions or concerns? Found another typo, Dana. It's all right. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.12, approval of KTL 2021-2022% salary schedule increase. Ms. Morris?
So this is another just paperwork
Format.
shuffle that we have to do. So it's just taking the salary schedule from last year and moving it forward to this year without any changes, but you
We
have to
vote on
formally
that.
approve that.
To give them nothing?
All right. Any questions? We have a motion to approve?
Hey, I'll make a motion, but is it, might sound silly, but I notice all this shuffling's kind of staying in together, right? Is there a reason?
Well,
for
because
that?
it's the beginning of a new school year, so there's a lot of housekeeping that we have to do. So one of the things we do is we review all of our salary schedules for the new year to make
Yes.
sure that they're compliant. And so the KTL salary schedule, while it didn't have a change that we had to bring to the board, we just have to make it so that it's now for the new fiscal year.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Because if the county doesn't see that it's been brought before the board, then they
Right.
won't want to
Never
process
happened.
payroll and won't want to do
Gotcha.
anything. They'll think we had no authority. It's Stephanie and I could have just said, no, that's what
Right,
it is.
right,
So
I
they-
gotcha.
so thank
Checks
you.
and balances.
I'll second it.
Was there a first? Wes was the first?
He said he'd.
Oh, first, second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.13, approval of new revised board policies and administrative regulations for KUSD listed in 9.5.
And these are all the policies, including the independent study policy, the updates that we normally receive from California School Boards Association. So the recommendation is that they be approved.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.14, approval of the 45-day budget revision. Ms. Morris?
So that's me. You have a little handout here. This will just take a minute. I think you'll recall back when we did budget adoption, I stated that if the state's final adopted budget had any significant changes, that we would have to bring a 45-day change to the board for approval. So there were two significant changes that affect our budget. If you turn to page 2, one of the changes, which was a definite positive change for us, is the legislature provided relief for the unemployment insurance increase. You may recall at budget adoption, we were showing that the rate increase was going to cost the district $89,000 in increased unemployment insurance cost. The legislature reduced the rate from 1.23% down to 0.5. So now our cost is estimated to be only $36,200. But as you can see, even at 0.5%, this still represents a significant increase in costs above the standard, which was 0.05% or $3,600. So basically, we went from a $3,600
Thousand.
cost per
36.
year,
36,000.
no,
original was
$3,600.
Okay, gotcha.
It went from that to 36,200. Sorry, right.
It's a big jump.
Yeah, so it's still a significant jump, but clearly not as bad as it was going to be. So that'll have a positive impact on our budget. On page 3, the concentration grant, the enacted budget included an augmentation to the concentration grant, which is just one component of our local control funding formula. For the district, the funding increase will be approximately $345,700. However, this increase comes with a stipulation that that additional funding must be used only to increase the number of credentialed and/or classified staff who provide direct services to pupils. So you'll see on the last page where I've made those adjustments to factor that in, and then if you turn to page 4, due to this one-time increase or it's not a one-time increase for districts, I believe it's a 3-year increase, but due to this increase in LCFF funding, The State Board of Education is going to revise a new LCAP template by November 30th, and we will be required to present the update to the board, including an update to the budget overview for parents at a regular board meeting before February 28th.
We just got it approved.
I know, we get to update it again and have a brand new template.
Nice.
Yeah,
So we'll be working on that and bringing that to you before February.
I am so excited.
It's your Christmas break.
The state also came out, just as a little side note, the ESSER funds that we're going to be receiving, they decided that they wanted us to do a expenditure explanation report that they estimated would take only a mere 40 hours to complete.
But I thought we had to do that before we spent any money anyways.
No, they're putting the cart before the horse. They're giving
Oh.
us the money, telling us to spend it, and then they're coming back and saying, well, okay, what did you spend it on? And
I thought we
how
had to
did
get
you
it
accomplish your
pre-approved.
goals?
Uh.
So anyway, looking forward to that. So on the last page, page 5, this is actually the visual impact of how this affects our budget. So you can see in the third column in green, we have $345,700 of new revenue that we're expecting. And we have to budget the corresponding restricted expense. So just estimating, it would be an increase of $300,000 to certificated staff pay and an increase of $45,700 to classified pay. And again, we'll have to hire or add hours in order to spend these dollars correctly. The savings in the unemployment insurance, the $52,800 in savings, that will just drop to the bottom line. It'll increase our fund balance. So that was definitely a positive impact to our budget.
So the 2 increase in salaries can't be on hourly, it has to be extra. So new employees are extra hours, for
Correct.
stipends or
Correct.
duties.
Yep. That's all. Any questions?
Yeah, do we need a new employee?
No?
We actually need employees. We have probably 10 or 11 unfilled positions that we continue to advertise and can't get candidates to sign up for. So it will be even tougher knowing that this is the way we can spend these dollars is by trying to hire additional teachers, for example, and when we can't find them and we can't place them in those positions, then it makes it really tough. So when they put those strings attached, the need may be for something completely different than what they're saying for us, but we can't use it. We have to follow what they told us to do.
And it's temporary funds, correct?
And temporary, not long-term.
Well, probably what will happen, it's supposed to
3
be for 3 years. Probably what will happen is if we aren't able to show that we hired new personnel, we'll have to carry that over and spend double the next year.
Because we'll have,
What-
instead of the
what's
300,000,
real
they'll give us
reasoning?
6,
What are they thinking? then?
I don't.
We don't know,
They want us to have local control, but then they want to watch.
Yeah.
huh? Yeah.
So the numbers you showed, is that per year or is that for the 3 years and we have to divide that?
That's
No,
per year.
Per
Okay,
year.
correct.
Now, that's not to say that next year they'll decide, oh, we're cutting back from what we gave you the first year, though. I mean, there's that possibility also. And I think a lot of that will change given the political climate that we may be in.
I might just write a letter.
Yeah.
I actually did. submit.
You did, huh?
Yeah.
You're the one.
You really did.
No one
Oh,
will read
no.
it.
Did you really write a letter?
You never know.
Did you really?
I wrote a comment, yeah.
Interesting.
It actually had to do with the ESSER reporting, but it's along the same lines.
Well, good, because I had that enters into me that I felt that one needed to be written for
We
sure.
submit nasty things, but then they kind of remember you, and they just figure, oh, here's another one.
Wes's wouldn't have been nasty, it would have been a life story.
Check on the board.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we expected this one.
Three
so-
checks on it.
All right, do we have a motion to approve all that hard work of the 45-day budget revision?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
We have a first, we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.15, approval of learning community for successful school program, grant contract.
Actually, since Miss McDaniel is in the audience, Ms. McDaniel, do you want to share with them what our work has been in the learning community for successful school programs? And it's basically a grant that we received from the county office to work with students, but I'll let her.
Way to put her
share a
on the
little bit of-
spot.
Of what we're,
Yeah.
well, she's here and.
Good evening. Sure, I can give you, so it's a 3-year grant that we're coordinating with the County Office of Ed to match funds to support the district in creating a district-wide multi-tiered systems of support, basically meaning that we're going to create a support system for students that includes not just academics, but social, emotional, behavioral supports. Part of our work will be to create a district handbook so that protocols for how to refer students or access interventions for students will all be in the handbook, so teachers will know exactly what to do and when to do it. So we do, and we also are contracting with another web program that's called Beyond the SST. So it's where teachers will refer through the pre-SST student study team. They'll report on their interventions, what they're doing to support the student. Again, not just academically, but the whole child. Those will all be set out for students so that it's everybody knows what to do, and it'll be in the handbook. And then if those interventions aren't working, then we move to the SST, where we bring together a team, and and it might be, general ed, special ed, an administrator, psychologist, a counselor, whatever the need for the child is, and we'll create a plan, and then we'll monitor that plan. So we've also increased our behavioral, our time with the BCBA, which is the behaviorist, and we've also increased time with the mental health clinician. We're bringing on 2 interns for social work to help support the counselors. And we've also contracted with Jennifer Johnson from the university to help support staff. So we'll be supporting staff in order to support students. So she will push into PLCs with teachers. She will, let them kind of like, this is happening, what do I do? She'll let them, she'll give them strategies to help to cope with their own feelings and emotions, and then also give them strategies directly to work with students. So it'll be on the spot help and support for teachers so teachers can better support students. So it's just going to be a full district-wide program that's going to support students all across the board, so the whole child. And it'll be district-wide, so it'll be very systematic across the district, and everybody will know what to do.
That's a good thing.
Perfect.
So we're pretty excited about it. So this is our year 2 in the ground.
Well, if you're excited about it, we're excited about it.
I'm very excited.
See, that's why.
And I was going to say the other thing is one of the first steps we did was in creating vision, mission, and purpose for the district. And so, it's very simple. It's, in service of children.
Well, simple and effective, right?
And so if you ask a question and it doesn't serve children, then it's not a question we're going to answer. So that's how it goes.
Well stated.
Do you have
All
any
right.
questions for me?
Any other questions?
No,
All right.
I love it.
Glad you shared it, not Mr. Brazil. Wes is excited about it, that's why. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
A motion.
We have first, we have second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jimmy, you're next.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.16, approval of positive behavior intervention and support contract.
So this is exactly what Ms. McDaniel was speaking about. This is approving a contract for intervention, behavior intervention support from the county office. And so we're asking that it be approved.
We've used this before, but only at the middle school,
We have before, yes,
but not at the elementary.
not at the elementary, no.
All right, motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
We have first, we have second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. 10.17, approval of English Language Arts ELA Literacy Professional Development Skully Agreement.
So these couple coming up now are all agreements that we entered into Stanislaus County Office of Education for them to provide us with staff development or with support in both language arts and also in math. And so we're asking that those be approved.
All right, so for the first one, do we have a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
We have first, we have second.
I'll second.
Dana, you got that?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to 10.18, approval of math professional development SCO agreement, same topic.
Same thing, absolutely.
We have a motion to approve? All at once? We got one from Jeff, yeah? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Last one, 10.19, approval of Keys Union developer, no, this is different.
This is different.
10.19, approval of Keys Union developer fee justification study. Ms. Morris? This has been your little baby for a while?
What?
You've started this for a little while. Haven't you been working on this?
She's
The
a
developer
baby
fee
skirter.
study?
Yeah.
No.
No,
Yeah,
she's done another, we've done one
This is-
before,
this is
but
another, You kind of do them every year.
Oh, okay.
So as long as the state increases the amount that we can charge builders, then we have to update our study in order to charge the higher rate. And Turlock actually collects the fees for us, and we split it. So they get a portion for the high school district, and we get a portion for the elementary. And so every year when Turlock increases theirs, we increase ours, so that together we're charging the maximum rate.
Okay. Any questions or concerns? We have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's
And-
not
and we
straight
have
down the
to-
middle,
we
is
have
it?
to contract with someone. It's not something that we can do in-house, or that we have to delegate it to a, so that's why we have an approval of the contract.
Moving on to discussion items, LCAP, even though it's done and now we have to redo it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say, because in public, I'm good, so I'll just be good. No, it's just frustrating that we continue to get all of this money. We don't have time to spend it. We don't have time to plan it. And then they want a report of what we're going to do with it. And I think that's a little, I guess when you look at government, that's exactly how they operate. But when you're trying to run a school district, that's a very difficult thing to do, given in particular, the environment that we're in, when we don't have candidates applying for positions that we need to implement those programs and those things that they believe will, and that we believe will help kids, but we need time. And unfortunately, I think in education, we were never given sufficient time, but during this pandemic, we definitely have not been given any time. Time is of no essence to them. They just want all of this, and they can increase their people at the state level to process all of this, but unfortunately, we can't say the same. And we're also limited as small districts into how many people we can have working on this stuff. You can only do, if you're working on 10 plans in 1 week, it's a little difficult. And I've gotten to the point where I do a lot of cut and paste, and I've shared with staff, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to give them what they want, and we're going to continue to focus on kids, and kind of some of those requirements are, we're going to meet every deadline. I have no doubt that staff and I can do that, but will they be the best quality of plans for them to read? I'm not even sure they read them, so we'll do the best that we can.
All right, any questions? All right, moving on to 11.2, SMS track. Mr. Emmons, you'll take the lead on that one?
Wow. Yeah, we're talking about this because, in my opinion, that's the biggest thing we could do for the kids at Keys community, is give them a place where they could run and play and not worry about twisting an ankle, and get some more activities for the kids. Right now, if you drive by Sproutley Middle School when the kids are in session, half the time you'll see them jogging on the blacktop. I know they play soccer out there, but at their own risk. If you guys could remember Hatch Park a long time ago when we were kids, how they would just cut the lawn high and the holes in the ground.
That was
It's just,
fun.
it's impossible. We need a safe place for the kids to run. And it would be a drawing card for the charter for their high school to have a track out there. I think the kids would love it. They'd look forward from Key School to go to Sproutley to run on the track, and in the middle of the track, you maybe have some soccer goals and make it a safe place for the kids.
Would we be able to get them back into track? Because I know we had track league a long time ago.
The only school I know in our division that's doing track right now is probably that wants to do it is Chatham, and they're not even in our division. But who knows, like, times are changing. I wanted them to do flag football, but, nobody's doing flag football. All right, Jimmy, you invited some people. Mr. Dudley?
I have to apologize. I can't speak as quickly as Jeff.
No one can.
But if we had a track out at Spratling, I'd be so thrilled because, like Jimmy said, I don't use the grass as often as I'd like to because it's pock full of gopher holes and mounds, and now they're ground squirrels. They're like condominiums out there, and in the past, I've lost equipment that has gone down these holes. Some of those holes are so large. The last 3 years, Eric's crew has done a fabulous job. Our field looks better than it has in decades. I mean, it's looking so good, so thank you. But right now, like Jimmy said, we go out to the blacktop because it's just not a good place to run. I can't always see the kids 100% of the time, so I have to have others stationed at strategic locations. Blacktops are hot also. It'd be nicer to be out on the grass. And ideally, if we did get a track, we'd have a soccer field in the middle of it and possibly open it up to the community. I see so many people during school time just jogging along the dirt embankment between us and the orchard. So I know people would love to use it. So if that could happen, that'd be awesome. I'd be so happy.
Are you thinking about the field on the side?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, right now we're surrounded by one field that's empty and 2 orchards. So the gophers are just flooding the place.
Is there potential funding for this? Is that what we're
That's
talking
my
about?
only concerns is, maybe Stephanie can jump up and talk about this.
Well, I mean, because
Was it
I'm
about
getting kind of excited now, but it always
A
comes
year and a
down to
half
money.
ago, I think this was Jimmy's idea, but Jimmy and I kind of jumped on it, and we were thinking it was a lot cheaper than reality. And once we got the reality cost, it kind of made me go downhill, but Jimmy went uphill for some reason.
Well, that's kind of
That's how I roll.
where I'm at. Why is this being brought up if,
Because we need to have a good discussion, and then we need to figure out what we want to move ahead. And I think we need to move ahead with some boundaries that we need to set tonight.
We don't know how much it costs because we've never really checked.
gotcha.
And I believe the kids do need it,
At what expense, though? That's my only concern, and you guys know
or a
that.
baseball field.
Ms. Morris?
So I know the public in general keeps hearing that schools are getting tons of money, and we are. But all of that money comes with restrictions, and none of it allows us to use these funds on a track. So I knew Jimmy was interested in it, so I did some research. And when we did the charter school build, we went out and got a loan, and the loan was for, I think, double what we actually needed to build the charter school. So we've been sitting on about $700,000 of facilities money that we had discussed about paying the loan off early because it had an option that we could pay it off at the end of 5 years. So we've been kind of holding that, and the charter school has been making the debt service payments. So we do have about $700,000 set aside that we could use for that money. I reached out to the bond legal advisor, and he said that any improvements to Spratling Middle School would qualify for use of those funds. In my opinion, we would have to get an attorney involved, possibly hire an architect, and do a formal bid to find out exactly what it would cost. But before we did all of that, I know just the district needs to know what direction, what is it that you want in a track? Is it a dirt track? Is it what do they call them, polyurethane? I don't know.
Clay, or clay, just.
Pour in place track, do you want it 7 lanes, 5 lanes, 3 lanes? I don't know, exactly what it is that you do want, because we would need those specifications and parameters in order to go out to bid.
Is there a track company rather than an architect?
Well, we have to go through, we're state, so we have to go through all the.
There are individual places that do nothing but specialize in doing tracks. I mean, that's their specialty. However, we, as Jeff has said, we would have to follow DSA and follow all of the state requirements because it is a building project.
Gotcha.
The only other research I was able to do was, I know that Houston recently built a track, and it's a high school quality, pour in place track. They didn't do anything to the interior of the track, just the track itself, and it was 1.09 million.
Oh, my goodness.
So it'll cost money to actually, formally look into it. So for me, as a CBO, I would want the board, if you want to move forward with this, I would want a parameter saying this is how much we're willing to spend on the research.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think when we were at the point, I don't think that there's anyone who is necessarily against this by any means.
Oh.
And I, as superintendent, will say I very much support it. My biggest concern is that it is not something we can say we will have finished within a year, much like what we did with the charter. We needed to get it done, and I don't think that this is that kind of a project that we can do that. However, I think it is a project that requires some planning, and that planning, as Stephanie has shared, will require us to reach out to different entities and things, and that will initiate some cost. So I think as we look at that, I don't know if the board wants to flat out say, hey, we're authorizing up to this amount for some background work on it, and allow us to then look at who do we go to first, what do they suggest. I'm more in the back of my own head envisioning it as a 3 or 4 year program, even maybe a 5. Again, that would all depend on what kind of feedback we get. Right now, labor costs are outrageous, building is outrageous, so I think, but at least to have an idea. You can't have something if you don't plan for it. And so that's one of the things I've always said to Jimmy, and when he comes in is, it's absolutely, I think it would be, who wouldn't want to have that as a great thing at our middle school that could serve the public? I think it would be amazing. But I do think we need to proceed with caution and realize that there is some cost to even just get this off the ground and to looking at what the
My only question would be, what are we talking about as far as a track? A dirt track, a astroturf
We don't
track?
know.
or-
But so when Stephanie and we called the architect that was doing the charter school, and they threw out a number without even looking at the field, and it was $400,000 to $600,000. And that right there was like, that's just so much to even think about. If Eric could come up and talk about the shape of the field and
But it's
And-
something they could use for years.
It'd be,
is there anything you think we can do in the meantime? Because if we make it a 4 or 5 year phase, then that means that whole field's cut off for 4 or 5 years, and that means nobody has any stake in that field for 4 or 5 years. So
I don't know
if
that.
it needs done, I
don't
think it
know
needs
that.
done.
Silly.
I don't know
yeah.
that. It could be leveled maybe one time. I don't know.
Eric?
Yeah, so I think that whatever we do, we do definitely need to do something with that field. My staff, we spend a lot of time trying to take care of it and do the best we can. At this point, we kind of call it the cow pasture. It's, we try to keep it green, we try to fill in holes, and it just doesn't get used the way it could. It's a lot of space. Mr. Dudley, like I said, like he said, he had to, they run a lot on the asphalt. Another problem with running on the asphalt too is we have gates that are open, during the day when we have students present, and it also creates a safety issue. We're always talking about, closed campuses and keeping stuff locked down, and we have a drive-in gate and a man gate on either side of the campus that are open. So I think that we definitely need to do something with the field. I agree with Jeff that as far as, moving this project in like a 4 or 5 year span, I would hate to see the limited use that we have for it already just diminish to nothing. We still play soccer. If we have that field down and there's no grass there and there's nothing there, how do we continue with our soccer program? Mr. Dudley also uses it for PE. So I think whatever we do, we need to kind of keep that into consideration and kind of plan that way. As far as the track goes too, one of my main concerns about moving forward the project this is because I'm so facility based, I'm looking at infrastructure and where we're at and where we should be as far as HVAC and roofing and doors and windows and painting and all of these other things that I think that just have kind of gone by the wayside a little bit. We've spent money doing a lot of indoor modernization, which is great because it's direct impact on students, but we haven't really looked at long term for facilities. So I have a hard time, saying, yeah, let's go spend $700,000 on a track when we have these issues. Now, with all the money that we have with ESSER 2 especially, there's facility based, it's got stipulations for using for facilities. So if we use that money in a way that we can free up general fund money or free up the loan that she's talking about, I think that's something that we should look at and do. And I agree that we should probably start by, getting an architect and taking a look and seeing what that cost would be. So
Okay, I gotta just stop and just go, what about the track here? What is that little track we have out there? That's a running track, right?
It's a running track.
Okay,
That's a walking track.
It's a what?
I think it's just a walking track.
That was kind of pieced together in 3 phases. I don't think it's adequate, really.
I mean,
It was built
what I'm
by
saying is,
Grover
I've ran
at
that
one
track.
time. That should have been, they did the whole thing, the track and the sprinkler system. They did not do the best job.
But
Yeah,
but
if they had
I've
a-
ran that track. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
literally
So
ran.
what he's saying is that something that we're interested in putting over at Spratling?
Yeah, I think that the basic design there it has potential. I don't think it was executed properly when it was installed. I saw major issues with it when I first started working here, but I think you can take something as simple as that and just
Yes.
maybe add on to it, change things a little bit so we don't run into the problems that we have now. Like right now we have irrigation that runs over the top of the track and it floods it out. We have, because we mulch, every time we mow, our thatch is building, and we're having a hard time keeping that off of that of the curbing that holds the track. So I think with a few design modifications, that would probably be sufficient for us. I mean, for
A
what we're
good
looking for.
start, right?
Yeah. Prescott Junior High in Modesto has had a dirt track forever,
Right.
and they play football and soccer
I've
in the middle.
ran on dirt tracks my whole life.
Yeah,
I
dirt track
think
doesn't
that's what
wrong.
we're
dirt
looking
Well,
at.
and
We just want to do it the right way.
just talking about like what Stephanie was talking about with Houston. So I went to school there. They've always had a track. It was a dirt track, and there was a football field inside. And so they already had like everything you need to build a track, and then they just over time developed that and did the pour and play, and now it's a really professional type track. But they started with a dirt
But
track.
they probably had most of that infrastructure already done, though.
Yeah,
They
well,
did,
and
they did.
I think that's the thing is, I mean, I've done so much infrastructure stuff since I've been here. I would love to sink my teeth into a project that is direct impact for kids that, we can see every day and we can appreciate. I was talking to Mr. Emmons earlier, and it's like, no one ever comes up and says, "Hey, Eric, thanks for that roof," or, stuff like that. I mean, it's important things.
The
It's
teacher
things
with the
that-
leaky roof does.
Right, but there's things that at certain times we have to look at just because we can't see it and it doesn't directly impact kids the way we think it does. There's a lot of health concerns, a lot of issues. If your roof is leaking, you have mold in the T ceilings. If your windows are leaky and
Right.
drafty, you're letting out
But
in and
Eric,
out
we,
air.
we know that,
Right.
right? We know that completely, utterly know that that is very important, even more important than a track, right? To keep the infrastructure. My question is, do we have the money to put a track in? And can it be a track like this one out here, just modified a little bit better
wider.
to
Oh, yeah, it'd be
keep
wider.
grade and water issues
Yeah, I think
at bay?
absolutely. And I think if we're smart with the money that we have, we have, especially when it comes to ESSER funds, we have a committee that we're going to discuss, funding and how we're going to spend that money. And I've been really trying to advocate for a good chunk of that to work on facilities. Like I said, it frees up general fund money. If you look at my 5-year plan, I have probably $500,000, $600,000 worth of projects over the next 4 or 5 years. And if we can use ESSER funding to cover those projects, that frees up those general fund monies and maybe will help with a project like this.
So my question then would be, do you think a track's a good idea?
I do.
You do.
I do. I think that, if nothing else, that we should at least look at regrading that field, getting it kind of level,
was my next
that really high side on Washington. It's really low in the center. It used to be used as a storm drain.
Yeah.
But now since the charter school project, we've shifted all of our
Drains.
water drainage from there into the city water or city sewer.
Yeah.
So we don't have that issue anymore. And I think we have the capacity now to level that field off, hydro seed, maybe fix the irrigation a little bit. We just replaced the booster pump recently because we've been talking about this project for a long time, and I figured, well, before we do that, we should make sure that we have the means to water it properly and all of that's working. So
I love
new
it.
booster pump, new VFD controller. So we've got that part there and ready to go. And now it's just deciding what we want to do with that field. So
I think it's a lot of money to spend, but I think we need to explore it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But Mr. Dudley, and this for Mr. Morris, what if we leveled it? Would that help at all, or would the Gophers just come right back? Like, can we spend a small chunk and make it nice, or what do you guys think? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've listened, but Jimmy's the only one that followed through with it.
Well, and as far as like pest control and stuff, I think that's always going to be an issue. Like Mr. Dudley talked about, we have an orchard across the street. We have 8.5 acres behind the charter school of empty field. We've got an orchard back behind the field. But what I would say is, I feel like if we had the opportunity to do something with that field, given the new programs we have for our grounds maintenance and everything else, that if we started from at 100%, that we would be able to keep it there, with what we're doing. But honestly, when I got here, we started in a hole, like literally, and we're just trying to maintain something that's just not worth maintaining, honestly.
Have you got a hold of your pest control company and see if they can do anything about the squirrels?
Yeah, so when I first started working here, we had a pest company. They were charging the district $3,500, $4,000 a year, and they weren't doing anything. So
Bought the machine?
I gave them a chance to try to fix the situation. I came out, I was looking at their reports, and we've got probably, I would say, 800 active gopher holes out there, and they were treated 3 gopher holes, treated 2 gopher holes. So I ended up firing them my first year, and we took it on ourselves because I figured we couldn't do any worse than what they're doing, and the cost saving to the district, because between the pest control, I think sometimes during summertime we're spending upwards of $5,000 a month on water, and that's mainly for the irrigation of SMS. I mean, the domestic side of that is not where that cost is. It's in
Eric,
trying to
the
keep
more
grass
you
green.
talk, the more I'm beginning to like you. You know that?
What did you guys do for the squirrels?
Huh?
What did you guys do for the squirrels?
So right now we have called a Gopher X machine. It's we use the exhaust from the motor,
best thing to
and
use.
yeah, that's what we're doing right now. It tends to work better for the gophers. The squirrels out there have been there so long, and their habitats are so deep. I mean, we've pumped gas in there for 2 hours straight, and we've never had it come up anywhere else. I mean, and then they'll just dig their way out and run off. They're channeled through like underneath the road and into the orchard. So the squirrels have been tough, and they
My
seem to.
understanding, you're supposed to plug the holes as well.
Yeah, so that's usually what we do is we fill the hole, put the hose in, and as we start seeing gas come up, we go through and we fill those holes in. But it's really hard too because of the structures that the squirrels have made. You have their burrow holes where they live. You have the holes where they store all of their findings and foods and stuff. And those are just really deep holes. And I would just be terrified to think about how deep some of those are. So
And plus having an orchard next door.
yeah.
So I know Wes and I hate this in our professional careers, but can we explore a couple different options of maybe leveling the field, a basic track, and a magic track?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, and again,
Is that
this is just my opinion. Just
Yeah.
us talking is. I don't see why we couldn't form a committee with a certain amount of people. Kind of come up brainstorming with ideas of.
Well,
everything
I
from-
would love that idea right there, and I would be more than happy to even be on that committee.
Yes.
Because I think before we go to an architect or we start talking about spending money, we should decide what we want, what we're willing to accept if we can't have exactly what we want, and kind of go from there. So
I think tonight though we should make a motion on where we want to move. Do you think like $7,500 budget or some 5,000, Stephanie? Well, what do you?
yeah, I mean, I would say at least we have all of the environmental impact reports because of all of the original construction, so we don't have to worry about that. I think it's just, and I don't know a lot about what architects' fees are, especially in a school setting, but I mean, I think that's something we'd look into. I mean, I had suggested. We worked so closely with Brian from HMR when we were on the charter school project. He understands the district. He knows the site over there.
Very well.
So that I thought that maybe would be a good place to start.
Okay, I still think it's too expensive, but I want to explore it. So I'll make a motion. We put a $7,500 budget on exploration for time and expenses, and then if it comes more, come back to us, I guess. And then with the district office and principals and stuff, making a committee, figuring out. But I'd like to see different options, because if we can level it for a tenth of the cost and be safe for 10 years or
Well, and
something.
the great thing about a
Gotta do
plan
something.
is you can start just kind of like we do with the charter. So you start with everything you want.
Yeah.
We brainstorm, we
And
figure
cut
out
back.
exactly what we want. We want a track, we want a football field in the middle, or we want soccer goals, or
Yeah.
whatever we want. And then you just kind of you make sure that you itemize that when you're getting bids. So you can pull those things out. Okay, we can't do this, just depending on what we have. But I think you start with everything you want and just kind of move
But
back.
I don't want to see an unusable field for a long period of time. So that's where I think doing a phase.
You've got
would-
one.
What?
You've got one.
Exactly.
And it's been a long.
You've
But
got one that's not
it's
used
being
much.
used right now, Jimmy. So if we go in a
Yeah, oh,
5-year
I know that.
phase and that fence is locked for 5 years,
I
then
know.
we're really hurting ourselves
we-
in the next 5 years.
That's the committee will find out, but I don't
Yeah.
think it'll be 5
But
years.
that's what I don't want. Well, if as a board we say let's do this within the next 5 years, then it's a 5-year phase.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be unusable for any longer than it has to, right, Mr.? Yeah.
But it's not being used right now.
It is
right?
being
Much.
used.
It is used
is.
some. It
Yes.
is used some.
See, I
It's just
didn't know
not
that.
to the
It's not
potential.
it's not fully utilized as if you would think a space like that could most
Right.
certainly be.
When I
very-
look at it, just in my way of seeing it, I see elevating the center. That keeps the water running off. And not because I know, but because every track I've ever been at, the center's elevated. And then you run a powdered road base around the whole perimeter with a loader or a scraper and make a track.
Not that easy on government property.
But it's not that easy on government property.
But the field does look amazing.
Well, I mean, and we've talked about this before. I mean, if I resigned as MOT and Wes resigned as a board member, I'm pretty sure between the two of us, we could build a track.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And
So,
a great track.
Also,
Yeah.
since everything's on the board, I know Mr. Dudley was talking about a softball diamond would be very nice.
Whoa, Jimmy.
Well,
Whoa, what is
well-
this, Christmas list?
No, no, but if you're gonna put
Well,
everything on the list,
Before we like, you know, kind of wrap the discussion, I did want to bring up, I kind of forgot about this, is just like a kind of another reason. I was talking to Jimmy about this earlier. If you ever want to see how bad that field is, just come by after Homer or Chris has mowed it. And, you know, after 4 or 5 hours on that mower, as bumpy as that is, and you know, they can hardly walk. I mean, that thing, it just
oh, yeah,
tears
beats
us
you
up.
up.
No.
You know, we've bought $2,000 seats, hydro seats for our mowers to keep them up off the decks. And it's rough.
Brutal.
So.
No, it's brutal.
And I think we all know it needs done. I just think right now it's too expensive. There's other things that a priority should come. But I mean, the last week of school, I had to walk out 20 feet to go get the keys, and I was like, whoa, from Mr. Dudley. I mean, we know. Jeff's drove cars out on there. Like, we know it needs it. I just think a priority is not that expensive.
Well,
But-
and I look at it, you know, the whole time we were talking about this, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, gosh, I wish the kids could have more field trips. And then we're talking
Yeah.
tracks, and then I see $1 billion on, I think, page 3 here, $1 billion. Right. Well, at first I thought it was. I thought, man, we're really getting some money in.
But I see the potential of using that for years.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
once you have a
so
track,
I'm for at least entertaining.
Exploring.
Absolutely, 100%.
So just lastly, I just want to say to you as the board, this is public funds. This is taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
We need to prioritize it, and we need to make sure that we have public buy-in.
Gotcha.
So I think we want to be really transparent and put it out to the public, and maybe even do some fundraising and see if we can get the public to help us out with that.
Absolutely, because, okay, but we can't use the public fundraising to gather people like tractor drivers and things like that. We would
No,
have.
has to
we
all
can't
go
do that.
through all these rules. Eric has to watch some of these people, like, he
Yeah.
babysits them when they're on
Okay.
campus, when it's,
We'll have to go out, we'll have to do a formal bid. We'll have to have a
Okay,
formal
right.
bid opening.
So the fundraisers would only be a matter of getting funds,
Money.
money in, but we
Yeah.
can't get help in.
No, not
You
necessarily.
can get
I mean, it's-
volunteers.
The only way that we could get would be if one of those individuals who is authorized by DSA or
Like on the
they
stick
could do it,
company.
then that would be the
Well, that's
difference.
what, you know,
Like
because we
right
just
home.
had a track built out here in Turlock on Montvilla Road, and it was a $300,000 project. We
Oh,
got
they
it
would
done
help.
for
They'd
free,
help.
just
But I don't know
because
about
we
that
know the
money.
people.
They definitely would
So,
help.
so it sounds like we're all wanting to move forward. Do we think $7,500 is enough for the meantime?
I don't know about
But I agree what you said, 7,500, and if it's more, come back to the board.
And this is for what?
To explore, to get blueprints, 'cause we can't be calling our architects and engineers without being charged.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
so we have one board member going to the deal all the time asking about it. I'm saying it's too much,
Yeah.
and so they're conflicted. So now we're giving direction like
Right.
this is. So if an architect says, "Oh, I could drop those 3 plans for $3,000 or whatever,"
Yeah.
that's where the $7,500 is going to come in.
Jimmy, what do you think?
I just want to find out, because everybody says it's too much, we can't afford it, you know, we don't need, I want, how much is that? How much is it?
You want to know the
I
cost.
want to know if we can do it, because every project we've ever done here, at first they told us we couldn't afford it.
Okay, Jimmy, how much are you willing to spend to know the cost?
Well, now, I don't know what those prices are. I don't want to put a price on, because I
but-
don't know what,
But that's the position Jeff's in, is Jeff is saying, I gotta come up with a
But
budget.
I
That's
think
not
like
just Jeff,
like
that's
Mr. Greener
all.
said, $7,500 is a good start, and
Okay.
then Ellie can come back in 3 months
So
and say it's
yeah,
not enough.
Right, so
that's fine,
Jimmy-
because I have no idea. It might be 5,000, it might be 10, I don't
Right,
know.
but I'm trying to leave here where you're happy and you're happy.
I think we're both happy.
Are you both happy?
Yes, because we're moving forward on a possibility of building a track.
So
Put
here-
forward.
But
here's,
even
here's
if-
what happens if we allot $7,500 tonight, and then LU and the team work on it, and in 3 months they come back, they say they need another $20,000 to get costs. comes back to us, and then we decide, are we gonna spend $20,000
To get costs.
to get
Figure it
costs?
out.
And that's all we're doing tonight. And it could be $1,000, and it could be $40,000 just to get
Right.
a cost.
So I'm asking Jimmy, is he willing to spend the 75, or is he willing to spend 20, or is he, you know?
I'm really 75 is good. I mean, I have no idea what they charge. I could.
Yeah, we have no idea.
And I think that's respectable, right,
Yeah,
Jimmy?
yeah, I think
I
so.
want to know from you,
Yeah.
you know, that type of thing.
I just think the kids need a little something. I think the kids need something,
And so do I.
especially in these times. Running
But-
and kicking the
So
ball,
do
that's
I.
good for you.
But I'm a Eric kind of guy, you know, I always worry about, okay, let's worry about the infrastructure, I think you call it.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to take all the money to where the school looks bad. No,
Right.
no.
All right, I got a motion for $7,500 budget on exploring this, and if anything that goes over needs to come back to the board. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye,
All right, we could have went on that for hours, but,
we could have.
okay.
I'm just happy Mr. Dudley's here too.
No, I
Yeah.
just want to
You expect this all year now, Mr. Dudley?
No,
No?
I would, however, want to reemphasize, I think, what Stephanie stated, because I think that is key here. We have a tremendous amount of money coming at us that requires people's input and buy-in from the community, because we have to write that in those crazy plans, just how we got it and just where we sought it. And I think that that's going to be key to any projects being successful, and our ability to then spend some of those ESSER monies on things that will take or allow us to then use general fund dollars. But it's something that we have to be very cognizant of. And if we get to a point where continuing to be in declining enrollment, and we have employees coming to us saying, where's my 3.5% raise, and where's this or that, I can see that the friction will begin. So I don't want to
Because they
paint
see
any
attractive
Pollyanna idea, but I'm saying that you also can't achieve something without planning it. So I think it's remaining positive, but looking at that this is kind of a little wobbly, and we need to take it cautiously. But I think until you take a chance and go out and try to at least get, which I think is what Jimmy's
Would it-
asking, is get an idea, then let's talk about it.
Would it be out of line of the board to ask the teachers what they thought and staff?
Sure. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's a
I mean,
easy
if
thing
we-
for us
if
to
we-
do.
but I really think we need a plan, because
We got to get a plan first,
it-
though.
it-
We got to get a plan.
what if the architect told us,
What we're asking.
what-
Yeah.
but if that architect told us twice as much as it in reality, then we shouldn't really be spending so much time talking on such a cheap project.
Gotcha.
What
What if
year
it-
did that school get built?
Spratling,
Nine-
What year did
Eric,
the Spratling get built?
2001?
well, I was going to say 99.
So
but-
2001, 20 years, and they don't really have anything.
Yeah, but 20 years on the air conditioners, 20 years on the roofs, 20 years on there's a lot of things we have to think of.
It needs a paint job, and that alone will be
$50,000.
easily, if not more. Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that, like, if we had all the money in the world, I would build a $3 million track. The community would love it. And I think if you ask the community, would you rather have new air conditioners and roofs or a track? They're going to go for the track, because, as you say, you drive by and that's what you see. But as a board, we have to be responsible and know that the roofs are more important than a track right now. When Jimmy and I got on this bandwagon, we thought it was going to be so cheap, and because we saw this one was done for super cheap and wrong, but that's what we thought we were spending. So we thought we could build a track for a couple prices of a couple air
I
conditioners.
don't believe it was
That's a
that cheap.
no-brainer.
I don't believe that was that cheap.
It's a lot expensive than I thought.
Yeah. So
no.
getting a $400,000 to $600,000 price, I was like, I'm never bringing this up again. It's just I can't see spending potentially 8 to 12 first-year teacher salaries on a track.
But ideally,
Gotta be
we want this school district to grow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's an amazing
Now,
idea if we
the
can
track
afford it.
is the outside. The inside would be the soccer field that kids could run on without hurting their ankle.
Yeah. No,
I mean, there's a lot of things. That track is activities.
Next to
Just
that's
the track is
softball
just the
field.
outside part.
There's a lot of stuff to do, and Eric is right. Right now, if he can pull some SSR money to do the air conditioners and the roof, that might free up a couple $100,000, and we might be able to put a $300,000 track in
That's
without feeling guilty.
Right.
that's what we're trying to
Without
find out.
any, flack from
Yeah,
anyone. Okay,
but-
all right.
I always put it as a beginning teacher right now makes around $52,000 to start, plus all the extras. So right, so when we spend something like that, I always put it on what a new teacher would make. And so if we're going to spend $600,000 on a track, that's 12 teachers we can put in these kids' lives. So it's, if it was $50,000, go put that track in tomorrow. Like, honestly, So I just think I think we're making a good progress. I think the district office has been in the middle because Jimmy wants it and I've been saying no. So I think we've really wronged the district office by making them be the stepdad or something on that one.
No, I don't. I think everyone at the district office, I mean, that's part of our job is to listen to board members and I mean, that's why we're there. But so I don't think anybody has felt that. We've just, I think the frustration has been that we just don't know exactly what you're wanting and saying a track without giving some
Well,
specifics.
I'd be very happy with a dirt track.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
no,
so that's,
I mean,
that's
I
what we're
think
saying.
that's
Dirt
what
track's
I'm
fine.
driving at
Yeah,
right
We're not gonna, dirt track's fine. But what I'm thinking of is the kids. What are you gonna buy that's gonna make the kids happy?
Yeah. No,
What are you gonna do for the kids? What are we gonna spend our money on that will help the kids as much as,
I'd rather them
That
be air
track.
conditioned and heated.
well, I know.
Okay, but we're on the right track and
All right.
we're just gonna move forward on that.
And keep in mind, if we don't discuss it and we don't bring it to our attention
We
and,
don't.
and your attention,
That's right.
it'll never happen.
never
So we gotta
We
put
have
that
to.
first
It's
forward.
a hard
step
fight. We just
forward.
gotta do it.
Absolutely.
See what happens.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's it.
So Mr. Dudley, you come in every month now, right? Until this track's built?
He's a hard bargain.
Oh. All right, moving on to 11.3 is library lease between Stanislaus County and Keys Union School District.
Oh, my.
And we are still working on that. The county asked us to wait until the end of this month, I believe. It might actually, it is the end of this
28th,
month.
29th?
29th, to tell us kind of their result of their facility study that they were doing and give us some possibilities of what they may do. I have absolutely no clue. I think we were very clear with them as to what our expectation is, that they take ownership and do something because it's their building and that we shouldn't be supplying the library for a county program. Granted, it serves our community, but they're providing it for other communities in the county. And why are we so different? And why can't we get a simple portable building brought up to code versus some of these wonderful libraries that they're building in other communities? Our kids deserve those same facilities. So I think we were very, I think all of us got a little heated and were frustrated because we weren't so well received. But we will continue to push and not give up on it.
Okay.
All right, moving on to 11.4, COVID-19 funding committee priorities list.
So this will be, we'll have our meeting on the 19th, and anyone can attend. We've invited everyone who wants to be part of it. We'll be putting some things together. Stephanie and I have talked about kind of a process that we want to take to where individuals will have, we want to make sure that they understand what the parameters are or what things are actually allowed so that we aren't coming up with, dreams that can't be fulfilled. So we want to be realistic. So I think that, again, after the 19th, we'll have kind of a better idea of how we want to spend those funds, because by September 30th, a plan needs to be submitted stating exactly how we're going to.
Wow.
And then there will be updates every year because they're going to want to know, well, did you change your mind the second year? Which I would say we probably will. But that's the kind of process. So that's all I have.
All right, moving on to reports. Superintendent report.
My report, what I want to first of all thank Eric and his entire crew for having facilities, rooms, furniture, smart boards moved out, you name it. They have worked extremely hard to make sure that every room is as ready as can be tomorrow. It is absolutely amazing. They are not a large crew, and they do an amazing amount of work, so I want to thank them for that. I also want to thank all the teachers and paraprofessionals for the work that they're doing getting their classrooms ready. We had all of our mandated cost trainings yesterday, and we were out actually by just a little before 1, which was a record time, and so they've had a little bit of time to work in their classrooms, and then today, but I know that it's the scheduling of meetings and trying to get everybody on the same page. So I think everybody's very busy, but I think everyone is very excited to finally see kids come through the gate tomorrow morning. I think that will be an absolute plus, and what a difference, I guess, a year has made. So I want to thank everyone for their patience. I want to thank parents for absolutely, sticking with us, supporting us, and at times very frustrated, and rightly so, and understandably so. So I want to wish everybody an absolute amazing year. I know it will not be hiccup-free. We will have our things, and we know that supposedly cases are on the rise, and we're going to deal with it one day at a time, is what I'm telling everybody, to be flexible and also realistic. So, and the other thing I want to thank is all of those employees that we normally would have done handing out employees we have a award system of rewarding or awarding someone a recognition after 5 years, then 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And I will be going around to each of those employees to hand them their little token of our appreciation. Normally, we would have done it at our staff get-together the beginning of the year, but we didn't. We remained on Zoom to do those trainings, partly because logistics, it just worked better that way. So, and that's all that I have.
All right, moving on to board member comments. Mr. Emmons?
All right, well, first, Eric and the crew did another great job getting the schools all looking good. And I want to wish every teacher out there good luck for this year. It's appreciate all the hard work. Last year had to be hell on everybody. So I appreciate everybody, and I hope it's going to be a lot better year. And this track, I wouldn't bankrupt this school to build a track. But I believe if we work at it, we can do both. I think we can keep our facilities up and do a better job on that track. And that's my goal. And I wish everybody a great year.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right, moving on, Mr. Green?
Oh, I have a question. And I was going to use the board member comment time for the question is, why did we start on Wednesday? I've been asked it from the community over and and I thought maybe I was told and I forgot, but I would sure like to be able to give a reason.
Oh, I have a great reason.
Okay.
The reason why we start on a Wednesday is because Turlock starts on a Wednesday, and we feed into Turlock. They really set out the calendar, and we follow it.
that
That's
what
the
it
honest
was?
truth. I'm
But
telling you.
reality is they use Monday and Tuesday as teacher days on campus.
Gotcha.
Minimum day.
Well, Cindy, see, I love that because that's what I said. I said, I think it's because we don't want to hit them real hard. We want to
Yeah, easy.
take it easy, right? So, but I didn't know, and I thought, boy, as a board member, I should probably know this. So so that was important to me for the people in the community when they have asked me. I guess to the teachers, to our principal, are we ready? We are, huh? All right. So I'm very happy to know that. And other than that, I just want to say, hey, everybody, I'm glad it's starting again, and know that I think I have to reiterate the hiccups. I have a feeling it's going to be a little
One or
rough,
two.
but I know the team can handle it for sure. So I'm glad to see everybody, and I'm glad for the new year. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Burnell?
Yes, I'd like to thank all the teachers for all the preparation and the hard work that you guys are preparing for this up and coming year, and I'm kind of excited for this school year. And the good, the bad, the ugly will be prepared.
All right, thank you. Ms. Greener?
Just want to wish all the teachers good luck, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a better year.
All right, I have a couple things. I, too, as in Jimmy, want to see a track, and I know Jimmy won't bankrupt the school. I'm giving him a hard time, but we've been going to bat. And as you guys know, me and Jimmy got elected at the same time, and we've usually been one side by side on all our
Yep.
stuff. But this is going to break us.
They caught me off guard.
Goodness.
But and that's why you have 5 different board members. We all have 5 different
Yeah.
backgrounds. We have 5 different reasons for being on the board. We have 5 different possible goals. So it's good to have discussions. So no hard feelings, Jimmy.
Oh, no.
And then again, like Mr. Dudley said, you drive by our schools. We have the nicest schools around. You drive by other towns. We have the greenest grass. We don't know there's holes in it. It looks good. Welcome all the new staff tomorrow. You guys have all been here getting ready. We got a couple new teachers. Remember, the board's here to support you. I'm hoping for a time where we can be casually in classrooms playing with kids, doing art classes and all that stuff. I'm missing the campuses, so we want to get back to that. There will be plenty of hiccups, but I took my boy to get a haircut, and the sign says, "Please be kind with us," and I was like, that's a really, just please be kind. If we're kind to other people and nobody feels the same about coronavirus or schools closing or masks or anything. Just be kind. We'll get through this. Appreciate all the support. I think that's it. Ready for a new school year. So next board meeting will be September 14th. Closed sessions at 5:30, regular sessions at 6. Dana, another error?
Oh.
Do we have a motion to adjourn at 7:14?
I'll motion.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.